As YouTube grows older year by year, it gains a plethora of new creators taking a crack at making their own content with hopes of becoming famous, making money, or doing it simply just for fun. But with the passage of this time comes the inevitable decline of older channels as trends fade, fan bases move on, and people grow older. Sometimes, though, the passage of time affects these creators in an entirely different way. While most fade, others quit abruptly, continue on unhindered the way they began, or change. And there is no better example of a creator who embodies the concept of change better than MsBreezy. Looking at her channel today, you'd see that she has just under 1 million subscribers and makes content centered on Gmod, the format of which is usually just her and her friends running in mazes from memes added to the game as hostile sprites.
Why are we all in this scary looking cornfield alone in the dark in the misty fog?
We're not alone, Breezy. We have check-ins provided by viewers like you.
But anyone who's been subscribed for quite some time would know that getting to that point today would be a long and difficult path. MsBreezy created her channel over 9 years ago under the name CoolDude3, and was 16 at the time. 4 days after this account's conception, its first content was uploaded on August 10th, 2011. This video was a Minecraft machinima, with a machinima being a scripted skit filmed using gameplay.
Happy 40th birthday, Conrad!
Bro, he's turning 25.
Well, who cares? They're both the same.
No, guys, don't worry about it. This is awesome, thanks. I made my YouTube channel called Cool Dude, and my sole purpose for it was to upload Minecraft machinimas only. Because back then, I didn't have any money. You know, I was only 15, I think. And, you know, we didn't have any money. I had lived in survival mode for 80% of my childhood. And then, so I decided, you know, I finally saved up like all summer for this nice laptop that could run Minecraft and recorded it at like decent frame rate. And since I didn't have any money to make my imagination, I loved making videos. Like ever since I got my hands on a camcorder, you hear this from a lot of YouTubers, ever since I got my hands on a camcorder, that was it. You know, I made videos forever. Before YouTube even existed. Like that was my destiny. I remember I even used to upload to Google Video. How ironic that is.
As she posted more, these videos would perform decently at the time, and especially for a channel that had only just been created. But still, the Cool Dude 3 channel would mostly go overlooked for the first few weeks of its creation. This would soon change though, when Bree would encounter a man by the name of Zach Letter, who owned a small but up-and-coming channel known as Aviator Gaming. At the time, he had just over 9,000 subscribers and was the first established YouTube personality Bree would interact with on the site. The two made a Minecraft machinima together on Bree's channel along with Zach's friend Bert, who at the time didn't have his own gaming channel.
Hey, what's up you guys? This is Cool Dude.
Dude, where the hell are we?
I have no idea, but I think we're on the set of a show.
What's this?
We are fading out, Bert.
What?
Look what you did.
I didn't do anything.
Bert, I feel thinner.
This would prove to be helpful for Bree's channel, especially since Zach was partnered with Machinima, the leading MCN for gaming channels, which enabled them to become monetized since YouTube was hesitant to do so for gaming channels at the time. At this point, Bree herself wasn't partnered, but with the newfound attention from Zach, this would change almost immediately given the events that would follow. Two days after her collab with Zach and Bert, Bree would put up a video called Like a Block, Like a Boss Parody Minecraft. Minecraft song parodies were in their prime at this point, and Bree's parody would prove to be a viral hit. This was prompted by Machinima themselves posting it to their website without Bree's permission. Although despite the ethics of this, it got Bree a spot as a paid partner, meaning she could now monetize her content, and was finally able to make a sizable amount of income. While she stated she didn't need it very much at the time, being 16 and having few expenses, the money was life-changing since her family was relatively poor and she hadn't been used to having disposable income.
YouTube became a job, and I didn't necessarily have to worry about paying my own rent. I didn't have a whole lot of responsibilities. Just this extra money that was coming in helped my life substantially. I was able to invest in making better videos. I was able to invest in a nice camera. I, helped people out financially. I did a lot. I wasn't like, I'm gonna keep this money and, keep it in a bank account and become a rich asshole. I just sort of I was just investing it in everything. Just, here you go, here's fucking money everywhere.
With the attention on Bree's channel growing, Bree would then post a new Minecraft Machinima series called Newbies, which would become one of her most popular and recognizable series to date. At the time of its conception, Bree's channel consisted solely of Minecraft Machinima content, but around a month later in February, she'd begun diversifying and posting other forms of content, specifically Let's Plays of games like Amnesia and SCP Containment Breach. On top of these, Bree would also begin collaborating with other creators, specifically those who were friends with Zach at the time, including Bert, as previously mentioned, Zach's brother Tyson, and even Sky Does Minecraft, another friend of Zach's who would eventually become the biggest Minecraft channel on YouTube and the 18th most subscribed to person on the whole site. Although despite him being one of the most popular people Bree would associate with, Bree's friends as well as herself would see massive growth as time passed. By April of 2012, Bree would reach 40,000 subscribers, and 50K the very next month. Bree would also reveal her face for the first time in a now deleted video, and continue to show it occasionally from then on. It was at this point as well that the Wayback Machine would archive Bree's channel the most, reaching its apex in July of 2012 as Minecraft was becoming more popular. This means that Bree was seeing massive attention, although it was from this point forward that things would begin to change. She started several series that would become staples of the channel, one of which being called Splatter Day, which would consist of her opening fan mail. She also began doing machinimas using other games besides Minecraft, and continued producing a variety of Let's Plays as well. And as 2012 neared its end, she would start doing more and more collabs with new friends, particularly Zach's friend Steve, who at the time ran a channel called MLG Haunt, and had joined up with Zach, Bert, and Tyson to form a live-action skit channel together called Bam Lounge. Through his affiliations with Zach, Steve and his other friends would be introduced to Bree, and this particular group would make more and more collaborative projects with Bree than anyone thus far, which added more Let's Play content to Bree's channel than the year prior. She would also appear in Steve's channel, in videos like Haunt Interviews a Brony and To Kill a YouTuber Cool Dude 3.
There's a sickness among us, a dark force betraying the American way. Not communists, not fascists, a cult. Those that walk beneath the earth, the ones who've descended further than rock bottom, where the only source of comfort is the warmth of others who have strayed so far from the light.
Bronies.
Today we're here to bring you an exclusive interview with a man who describes himself as a member of the Brony fandom. Please allow me to introduce Garrick Berger, otherwise known as Cool Dude on his social media platforms.
Hi, my name's Garrick. I've been a brownie for about 10-5.
Garrick, we really do want to help you. As a member of the Gay Pride Horse Cult, how are people going to recognize you as a human being, as opposed to a member of the Filth and Squalor Club you currently represent?
The year would prove to be quite fruitful due to projects like this, and at this point she had also created a second channel called Cool Butt, later renamed to Cool Boobs, where other more random content would be posted.
Hello, and what is up, my beautiful and sexy viewers? I hope you enjoyed that little, advertisement video, I guess you could say, for my new channel. It's my second channel where I upload them, like, super low budget fucking shit that you guys can sit there and, enjoy. So basically, this is just an announcement. If you feel like it, subscribe. If you don't, I don't blame you, because all that's really going up here is utter shit of me living my life.
But as mid-2013 neared, Minecraft reached its peak. Many were not aware at the time, but it would soon prove to be unreliable for most who clung to it for long. Potentially because of this, Bree continued posting Minecraft machinimas, but accompanied with an ever-growing amount of diversified content, specifically with Let's Play videos of other games. And also by this point, many were quick to notice a lot of subtle references contained within Bree's videos.
Mind if I have a seat here? You alright, buddy? You act like you haven't seen yourself before. No, but I mean, like, how are you? I'm you from the future!
On July 7th, 2013, Bree posted a Let's Play of a My Little Pony game called Legends of Equestria. One of its features was a customizable character option, and through this, Bree adapted her pony OC that she had also used in the video's thumbnail.
It's not that I'm self-conscious that I'm playing this game, and if you're asking why I'm a girl pony, it's because I didn't want people to think that I was actually a guy in real life playing this game, okay? Maybe my OC is a girl. Actually, I think the correct term would be mare.
This would be the first of many to feature the character, and the start of a change that Bree would undergo in more ways than one.
I never outright disclosed, however, my deeper connection beneath the umbrella. That being this growing attachment between me and this OC I'd slowly been creating. The early origins of my character featured crudely recolored pieces from other people's art, and the occasional gift or commission from artist friends that knew about my secret interests behind the scenes. I eventually began writing about this character, who up until this point was nameless, and after a long few weeks of pondering names, I'd settled on calling her Breezy.
Although, with these changes came other, less fortunate ones. mainly that by this point her relationship with Machinima was strained. She stated that around a year into her partner contract, she was given a more legally binding 3-year agreement which she signed without a second thought given how good things had been up to that point. However, the following month, Bree had her pay cut by nearly 50%, something which Machinima took no credit for, but the explanations they gave appeared to not add up. Despite growing more and more popular, Bree's channel only continued to decline in monthly revenue from this point onward, which reached its apex in late 2013.
So I went ahead and signed the contract thinking that, nothing would really change. But the paycheck I got right after I signed this 3-year amendment was almost 50% less than what I had previously been making. And so, as the year progresses, 2013, my paycheck just keeps dropping. And it just keeps going lower and lower and lower with no explanation. My views, my statistics had been sort of dropping because I hadn't been uploading as frequently. And throughout all of 2013, a lot of YouTubers that I know and a lot of YouTubers just in general, their statistics have been dropping, which, I'm not really sure the cause of that. That, I think, is YouTube. But if you go and look at anybody's statistics, they've just been significantly less of what they used to be. And that could be a big factor as to why the paycheck had been dropping over the year. But the fact that it had been dropping, it had dropped substantially, that much within a month, I don't know. I didn't know what to think of it.
But on top of this, Machinima had apparently taken down her Like a Block Minecraft parody without her knowledge to prevent copyright takedowns, which was an ever-growing concern around this time when artists began to take note of how popular these parodies were becoming. Creators like Captain Sparkles faced these issues as well, which forced him to redub his original parody videos for some time. In Bree's case, however, she attempted to repost the video, but Machinima privatized it again, keeping her most popular video offline even to this day. This is just kind of I don't know if this is true or not, but, honestly, if you're not part of a network anymore and that video is still privatized, a big boost of 6 million views, I think it's what it had, could actually prioritize you in the algorithm again. So maybe re-putting up the Like a Block parody might actually have a... Huh?
That's kind of smart. Though, I don't know if YouTube will register it as that. I think maybe
Oh, no, it does. Like, if a video is privatized for a certain amount of time, then gets unprivate, it actually counts as views gained.
What the fuck?
Yeah. She would then post a video discussing some of her grievances with the company, but this too would cause problems. As 2013 neared its end, controversies surrounding Machinima were becoming ever more plentiful, and the network grew a stigma for mistreating its creators. And Bree's video voiced a lot of the same issues. Being partnered still, Machinima caught wind of this fairly quickly. Their representatives saw the video and were not pleased, leading to it being privatized as well. This, combined with growing awareness of other problems, resulted in Bree leaving Machinima in early 2014, which she was able to do since she'd signed the contract while under the age of 18 and put up enough resistance that the company gave in.
So, we signed the contract and my parents had to sign it at the time because I wasn't old enough.
She then joined Maker Studios almost immediately after. But trouble seemed to carry on in other ways. In April, Bree posted a video simply called Friends, and alluded to the fact that she had issues with past relationships.
Today's topic, I wanted to talk about friends, because recently I've been sort of stuck in the memories and the feelings of old friends. And usually my mindset towards things is just, it's the past, move on. You can try to mend things. Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. As many of you probably have experienced yourselves, we go through a lot of hardships, we lose a lot of friends, we gain a lot of friends, and we, over time, learn who our good friends are and who our bad friends are. But then there are those times where you fuck up something nice, where you had a good thing going and you made mistakes. And sometimes you can't take those back. And sometimes it's best to move on. And sometimes it's best to mend those things. And that's sort of one of the main things I've been caught up is which friendships were worth letting go, which friendships were worth keeping.
It wasn't clear who she'd been referring to in these videos, but many of her fellow YouTube friends from the early days had since stopped appearing in videos on the channel, and some had left YouTube entirely and deleted their own channels. Still, she began to settle in with a few specific people who would appear in videos far more consistently, and these people would become a friend group of her own. The group consisted of people like Jeff Fillman, a friend from Steve's Minecraft group, and others who ran smaller channels like Asmos and Damien. Among them was also Robin, a man who Bree had met a year prior on YouTube's now-removed messaging feature. She'd apparently recognized his voice from a Minecraft Machinima by the channel Crafted Movie, and spammed him saying "I love you," which he responded to, and recognized her as well. Although, Bree was apparently mistaken at the time, and Robin in fact wasn't the voice actor in the videos she'd seen.
I had just done a lot of voice acting for the channel Crafted Movie, for their, I believe it was ban appeal court videos. And for whatever reason, Bree had actually watched both of them, and after the second one, kind of realized that I sounded a lot like someone she had heard before. I think it was the narrator that did a really messed up Adventure Time fanfiction. It might be that guy called Duke or something like that. I can't quite remember his name. But I sounded a lot like him with some of the voices that I did, so she thought I was the one that did that fanfiction reading. Turns out it wasn't me, of course, but she didn't know that, so she ended up sending me a message on YouTube that just said, I love you, 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 over and over and over again. Signed, Cool Dude. And then after that, I sent a message back. Again, this was back when YouTube had, like, messaging that people used all the time. I mean, it's still there, but no one uses it. We had a little bit of correspondence back and forth. I said, hey, would you mind if I added you on Skype? Blah, blah, blah. And we started talking.
Still, by sheer coincidence, this kickstarted a friendship that ultimately culminated in the two moving in together following PAX 2014, after they'd done enough videos to learn how compatible they were.
So let me wind the clock all the way back to PAX Prime 2014. Now, around this time, I had come up with the idea of, hey, what if I moved down to Colorado to live with you? Because, hey, we already love doing videos with each other. We do it all the time. We work great together. What if? And just before PAX Prime, I got the green light. They're like, yeah, move right on down. Let's do this shit. Let's give it a go.
On her channel, content began to shift away from scripted videos in favor of more Let's Play material at this point, and the titles would begin to shorten and become more memey in nature. On top of this, Minecraft as a whole had been phased out almost completely, and the last episode of Newbies premiered on August 24th, 2014, officially ending the Minecraft era of the Cool Dude 3 channel. A decision that was most likely for the best, since by this point her last Minecraft videos were seeing low viewership compared to the newer Let's Play videos. And had she stuck with it as long as many of her peers did, her channel may have met a premature end. But the biggest shift would come on October 3rd, 2014, when Bree would upload a Let's Play video of her and her friends playing a game called Garry's Mod, or Gmod. This video would become the basis for content going forward, and the MLP-inspired character was made into her Gmod avatar, and began to become a part of the channel's brand. And this, quite simply, worked.
Much of my escapism around this time would take place on Garry's Mod Dark RP servers. You know, those old pony ones. That's where I spent like 90% of my life during the latter half of 2014. This isn't a sad thing though, because despite the grim state of my life, the happiness these servers gave me would eventually be enough to motivate me to create again. And what better place to start than on the servers themselves?
With Minecraft's dwindling relevancy no longer being an issue, and Bree having settled into a group of close friends for consistent collabs, she was able to release more and more videos in this style and see a lot of success. Going into the latter half of the year, Bree would focus her efforts exclusively on this type of content. Series like Splatterday and her Legends of Equestria Let's Play would come to a full halt at this point as the content narrowed to Gmod videos. Most of these focused on her and her friends running from memes made into enemies who chased them through maps. But others were story-driven and took on a machinima style like her old Minecraft videos from the start of the channel. This is also when she abandoned her secondary account. She did attempt to diversify a bit by creating an account on Twitch, which was new at the time. It was named Cool Dude 3 like her main channel, and she would stream often. Although, Bree abandoned it not too long after because she considered it to be a very gatekeeping platform that tended to be elitist to new users. As a result, content stayed fairly consistent on YouTube from this point onwards. Gmod videos would continue to premiere, and Bree made more and more friends who became regulars in the group. These include Mike, who owned the channel Pymations, and Kyle, who Bree had met while starting to make Gmod Sandbox and Dark RP videos after he'd been active on her streams and the two played CSGO together. As 2015 began, the Cool Dude 3 channel would begin to see its biggest growth spurt yet. Mike even helped create several animated videos using audio from Bree's content, and these would go viral and become some of her most popular videos. Although while the channel grew more popular, other bigger problems had begun. Apparently, while on vacation, Bree's family's house flooded due to it being positioned in a place where water naturally collects, and the house's water pump in the basement having failed while they were gone. They called their insurance provider, who instructed them to keep the area as is for an inspector to come, but after waiting for him for a week, the damage had worsened severely.
Then about a week later, we're calling them and talking to them, and they're like, oh, you didn't do anything with the basement? You were supposed to start cleaning stuff up for us. We can't send someone in if it's a hazardous environment. And we're like, no, you told us to leave it be. And they're like, no, we would never do that. You were supposed to start it on your own and then we were gonna come in and help. But now we can't do anything because you didn't start on it. And mind you, this is a week later. The flooding has gotten significantly worse. It's not a $7,000 repair at this point. It's like a $25,000 repair.
By the time the insurance issue had been resolved, the damage to the house outweighed its value. This forced the family to move out and to have it foreclosed on.
This is a solution that Allstate could have fixed for very cheap right when we called them. But after about 3 weeks of fighting, the cost of the repair would have been around $75,000. Basically, it was starting to ruin the foundation of our house. So what does this mean? It means that we had to fucking abandon it. I took what little I could and ran off to an apartment in the city, and my parents had to move an hour away from everything they do so that they could go and live in my grandpa's house.
Not only did this uproot their lives, but with finances as they were, Bree's younger sister became ineligible for a lot of the college arrangements that were going to have been put in place soon after. The family could no longer afford what they'd originally planned. In response, Bree made a video discussing these events and created a GoFundMe to raise the money they needed. And even though it didn't meet its goal, they raised just enough and her sister went to college as planned. But this didn't change the fact that they were forced to move and downsize. But despite these problems, Bree's YouTube channel was continuing to see a massive uptick. And in August, she reached 400,000 total subscribers.
So we got Taylor here. We're blowing up some balloons for Taylor's happy 400,000 subscribers day.
Taylor's happy 400,000.
Oh, Garrett's.
Happy 400K, Taylor.
Yeah, happy 400K.
You finally made it.
Happy 400K!
Oh my god!
We put 400 balloons in your room.
One for every subscript.
One for every 1,000 subscribers.
One like equals 400 balloons. I wonder where Breezy could be. Oh, hey, there she is. I'm actually really afraid to see what happens when I hit 1 million. What happened? We burned your house down.
But as this was happening, another big yet not unexpected change was taking place. On August 1st, 2015, Bree posted a video stating that she'd lost a lot of enthusiasm for creating content as a result of issues that had started to emerge in real life.
And a lot of this stems from real life problems that I've been struggling with. Well, actually the entirety of it stems from real life problems that I've been struggling with for a long time. But just recently they're actually starting to take their toll last couple of months. And I've had to deal with the issues and pursue the person I need to be so that I can get back to being me. Now all this is a big complicated thing that I don't necessarily want to disclose in a Gmod B-Hop video. Maybe someday in the future, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't relate to my YouTube career. It doesn't relate to the content that I create and the content you guys want to see.
On this same day, Bree also uploaded a now unlisted video saying she'd created a new second channel specifically for LGBT related content. This channel was later called Breehive.
I'm just making a second channel of sorts, but I don't want to classify it as a second channel because it's gonna mean more than that. Because it's not gonna be this place where I upload videos that were too dumb to put on my main channel. It's gonna be like a legitimate channel. Oh gee, cool dude. Can you stop that? Literally nobody can understand what the fuck you're saying. Well, that's a good question if you didn't ask it like a dumbass. This other channel is going to have a very defined purpose. It's gonna cater to a very specific group of people. And by that I mean, it's gonna be a very LGBT-oriented channel. Oh, fucking cool dude's gay. Fucking God. It's not cool, man. I'm not gay. I'm just dating a guy and okay. Seriously though, the reason why I'm making this video is so that I can reach out to the people who would be interested in this subject rather than trying to round up my fan base as a whole.
In this video, she revealed that she was dating Robin since early 2015. Something that many fans knew but was still unconfirmed publicly. Robin would eventually go into detail about this and say that while Bree had feelings for him towards the beginning of their friendship, she ultimately gave up and thought it would never happen, but later wrote a fanfiction story featuring their Gmod pony OCs where Robin tried to find a present for Bree.
It was one particular evening where we were sitting in a Skype call together. I don't think we were doing anything in particular. We were just sitting there in silence like, you know, you do. And Bree said, you know what? I'm gonna write something really quick. I'm just gonna write a story, and it's gonna hurt. This one's gonna hurt. Now, she wrote this story using the ponies that we use in our Gmod videos. The Breezy and the Bing pony OCs, or whatever the fuck you'd want to call them. Because around this time, I think people had started to ship the two characters together in the first place because it was funny and cute. So Bree decided to write a little story about that. I don't know, she sits there for about 45 minutes, and then all of a sudden she sends me this little story that she wrote. And of course, it was a little romance story about the character Bing going out and trying to find the perfect present for Breezy for Christmas and shit like that. It was around that time that those feelings kind of started to creep in. Because I started to think to myself after that story, after that weird little joke romance story, you know, what if?
Ultimately, this story would cause him to form a crush that he would confess to Bree later on, and the two started dating. But then, quite suddenly, yet not unsurprising to many, Bree would let on her videos that she had realized she was transgender, and made the decision to undergo hormone replacement therapy and transition from male to female. Something which made a lot of the small quirks and references on the channel make sense in retrospect.
Whenever I film IRL vlogs, I contemplate using makeup, but then I realize I have absolutely no idea what the fuck I'm doing.
There was no official coming out video or post anywhere, but her friends had started referring to her as female around this point, and she was taking steps towards appearing more femininely. Her second channel announcement video had even contained a link to a GoFundMe page, raising money to have her Adam's apple removed so her voice would be able to reach a higher range.
During this period, I would finally drum up the confidence to confront my internal gender identity conflict behind the scenes. I finally had the money to pursue the changes I needed, and for once, things didn't seem so fucking hopeless. I still struggled greatly with depression, but I wasn't stuck. And no matter how depressed I got, I was still taking steps forward.
Still, it went mostly unmentioned in videos aside from subtle jokes going forward. But its effect on Bree's life wasn't as subtle. Apparently, she'd been deeply ashamed of it for quite some time and afraid of what people might think. As a result, she stopped talking to a lot of her friends out of fear, and was cut out by others who were less accepting. Unfortunately, the YouTube populace in her community had a largely split reaction to it, with some reception being positive but a sizable portion being negative as well. She barely spoke of any of this at the time, but later on she'd revealed that the struggle had been something she'd been facing for years, and alluded to in nearly every scripted video since day one. Literally day one.
And then after the sex change, we just looked at him and laughed.
Oh, I can remember my first sex change. Ugh, I give up.
I made a lot of hints about it in old videos. I used to make I literally made an entire video foreshadowing what I knew was going to happen.
All right, buddy, you act like you haven't seen yourself before. No, but I mean, like, how are you? I'm you from the future.
It's kind of a genius video, to be honest.
But even with these changes and the uncertainty that came with them, the channel was reaching its peak of popularity as 2016 began. Most videos did very well in the algorithm, and by this point, Bree had amassed a dedicated audience that would double in size to reach over 800,000. With profits on YouTube at an all-time high, Bree began making long-term commitments she'd wanted for some time. She changed the channel's icon to a human variation of her female horse character that had become her most recognizable form, and continued making steps forward in her transition as time passed. But this was never overtly discussed in videos. The closest she came to doing so was in a video called My Transition.
So there's been a lot of controversy regarding my transition into a bee, and I feel like it wasn't rightfully explained. I just sort of threw this on you guys, so I kind of wanted to give my viewers a chance to ask whatever questions they wanted to about my bee transition, and I want you guys to know what the buzz is about.
Which alluded to bits about her life, but was structured as a joke. In real life, however, she would undergo several surgeries in her transition. In the case of her Adam's apple removal, the GoFundMe ultimately didn't meet its goal, but provided enough to make a dent that her YouTube earnings covered the rest of. In the time leading up to the surgery, Bree made several references on Twitter, asking fans how open they would be to this change, and admits she had no idea how it would affect her voice in the end, but was her best chance of reaching a feminine vocal range. But in the midst of this, YouTube is undergoing a massive change as well. The YouTube demonetization system was implemented around this time, and it would affect Bree's channel drastically. So much so that on May 6, 2017, she would create a video announcing that she now owned a Patreon account that subscribers could support her on.
Today I come to you with a pressing matter. Due to YouTube's recent decisions regarding advertisements, and also more advertisements, many calling it the adpocalypse, my channel has suffered greatly from this terrible terrible times. It's like the Great Depression, but for privileged yuppies, which is why today I'm announcing a Patreon.
But this proved to not be enough. Because of the swearing in her backlog of content, Bree would experience heavy demonetization. By her own account, videos would still continue to get good views, but the revenue made from them was cut to almost nothing. Her channel continued to thrive on the surface with an ever-active fan base, but changes to the site took their toll. The following month, Bree would get an additional job working at a snowboard shop to keep afloat. And it was also at this time that Bree underwent her vocal surgery, and had stockpiled 14 videos to release until she'd recovered enough to record new ones. From June 25th to August 21st, 2017, Bree would put up the pre-recorded content before returning with her new voice on August 23rd.
Alright, everybody gather around. I just wanted to offer a small little disclaimer. I recently, well not recently, 2 months ago, I went through a vocal surgery. So every video you've been watching up to this point has been a stockpiled video. So here's the sitch. Here's the dealio. My voice is gonna sound like absolute fucking garbage for the next couple of months while it heals up. Just wanna throw that out there.
This same day, she would officially change the channel's name from Cool Dude 3 to MsBreezy, symbolizing the end of an era and the start of another. She would even go back and retroactively add Cool Dude 3 Archive into the titles of older videos, but would give up on trying to alter all of them. Unfortunately, these changes may have had an unforeseen downside. Having the channel's name shift may have deprioritized her channel in search and discovery in YouTube's algorithm, worsening the damage that had already been done to her income. The channel continued on for one more year with constant degradation, as Bree began to start a habit of going inactive for longer periods than usual.
But basically, I've been gone. I've progressively been uploading less and less, and then as of my last video, I just dropped off the face of the earth for a month. For those of you who follow my social media, you know that I'm still just as self-entitled and white as always. But as far as my YouTube activity, it's been non-existent. I don't know what to do, guys. I had so much fun with this. YouTube was always fun for me, even when I had to abide by silly rules that YouTube had implemented over time. It was fun. I enjoyed it. YouTube was my thing. It was what I knew how to do. But now I've reached a point in my life where I want skills that stretch beyond recording Gary's mod. And in pursuit of that, I've re-enrolled into university. And the reason that I've stopped with YouTube is because it was getting discouraging. So I'm sure you guys have been bombarded with God knows how many tweets or videos about this stupid apocalypse, and I'm not here to talk about that anymore. It is what it is. It's probably going to kill a lot of creators off, but it doesn't mean that I want to stop creating. But it has, however, forced me to take a step back and to reevaluate what I want to do, or what I was doing and what I want to do. It was getting really discouraging uploading videos and then just having them attacked by the automated system. So as far as future content is concerned, I'm trying to figure out what ignites my creative spark again.
This too most likely contributed to her channel's decline, since inactive upload schedules also harm a channel's reach in the algorithm, all while the current problems resulting from demonetization got worse and worse. In the wake of these same problems, Robin's channel saw an ever-worsening decline as well, which forced him to get a second job at Comcast, which he hated.
This particular time, my mood was greatly affected by the immense amount of stress of working at said place, coupled with the fact that YouTube was starting to go downhill due to all kinds of policy changes during, I think it was Adpocalypse 2.0. It was just a bad time for me, it was a bad time for Bree, not a fun time in general.
These problems wore on him to such a degree that he became unpleasant to those around him, which ultimately resulted in the end of his relationship with Bree around early 2018.
To sum that part of my life up, I was turning into a dick. Don't get me wrong, I still am one, but not in the I work at Comcast and my YouTube career is going down the toilet way. See, nowadays, I don't work at Comcast and my YouTube is dead, so I don't have anything to fear. Things eventually hit a point where, of course, we had to sit down and Bree said, hey, look, you don't make me happy anymore. Now, in the heat of the moment, I didn't agree, obviously. I felt like things were okay, even though they weren't. It took me maybe a week to realize, you know what, yeah, you're right. This should be a mutual decision. I agree. I can see the things that I'm not a fan of, and it's probably a good idea to split up. Anyway, fast forward a couple of months, we're still living together. Bad idea. She's seeing somebody else at that point, and I'm still working at Comcast, watching my YouTube crash and burn with nobody really to help, except for Brandon, Asmo, and Dylan. Those were kind of my main support people to go to, and thanks to them for keeping me the hell alive. After that point, I went through not all stages of grief. I'd say I skipped a few. But it took a toll on me until maybe 6-7 months ago.
Robin would move out only a few months later, and problems with YouTube only continued to worsen. Then, in June of 2018, Bree had had enough. She put up a now-deleted video describing her situation, addressing not only the problems with the channel, but her growing exhaustion with the format that she'd done for nearly 5 years by then.
There was a time where this was very fun. And that is not what it is anymore. It's just so much politics and bullshit, and you can't get on a fucking camera and just be yourself anymore. Like, I used to be so avid about uploading consistently and playing Gmod with friends, because first of all, it used to be fucking fun. We could do whatever we wanted on Gmod, or just we could do whatever we wanted in general, and we got away with uploading it. Well, we were allowed to upload it, rather. It was so fucking fun. Like, if you go back and watch my old Gmod videos, you can see how much fun we're having. And I can't do that anymore. I can't do that, or it literally will hurt my channel because it's inappropriate. I'm tired of investing so much work into genuinely good videos that will get shit views and will perform terribly because they weren't clickbait. I'm tired of losing worth in people's eyes because your numbers aren't as high as theirs, or you don't meet statistical expectations. I'm tired of being told I have no credibility because I'm no longer at my peak. I'm tired of the hate and the criticism that I face for changes I need to make in my own personal life for me to be happy. I'm tired of having to be the subject of whatever I do. I'm tired of having to market myself. I'm really tired of the terrible content I feel forced to make. There was a time where this is fun. There was a time where it made me quite a bit of money. That was fun. But I was miserable then for different reasons, and I don't even know if I'd ever want to go back. Like, I'm happier now than I've ever been in my entire life. I make a fraction of what I used to. I'm living in a shared home because my paycheck is a fraction of what it used to be, cut in half. All I have for this website is resent. It's all I feel every time I get on my computer, every time I look at my microphone and my recording setup. All I feel is resent and hate for something that used to be so great, and whether it was the influence of PC culture or the pursuit of greed, YouTube is not and is never going to be a place where I feel welcome. And a place where I would want to put my creations. I mean, I'm not the only one to make a video like this. A lot of people are fucking quitting. You're making us quit. I'm so close to 1 million subscribers, and I'm tossing in the towel because you are that fucking bad. However, I will be doing morning live streams. I'm a morning person, and I don't really do a whole lot for the first couple hours of my day, and I'm just like, well, I could just live stream.
After this, Bree's friends would supplement content every so often, and Bree would stream as she mentioned, but this obviously was a massive blow to both the channel and apparently Bree herself. According to her, after quitting YouTube, she went through an era of her life where she was uncontrollably emotional and seeking ways to numb the pain. She became an alcoholic and started attending raves at concerts while intoxicated up to 5 times per week, and spent few hours sober. She continued this pattern for months to the point of her saying she'd accepted it as part of her identity.
I tried living as a normal, non-internet person, because at this point I was passing, and no one outside of my past or my viewer base knew about my history. No longer could I be criticized for my unordinary interests or choices. But alongside this newfound pursuit of the normal came the adpocalypse, and between the painful mix of veering away from what made me recognizable, dealing with a huge breakup, and literally making no money from YouTube ads anymore, I sort of lost it. I had almost overnight lost my livelihood, and alongside all my other stresses, I went a little nuts. Those next couple of years following the end of 2017 would just be breakdown after breakdown, self-destructive episode after self-destructive episode. So you can only imagine how wonderful and also healthy the next portion of my life was. involved with raving and concerts, and probably ingested every recreational substance under the sun, which, to no one's surprise, led to an immense struggle with addiction. A lot of my savings was spent traveling to festivals and getting fucked up. It was incredibly damaging and unbelievably embarrassing. I mean, I'm embarrassed just talking about it right now, but I played it off as if I knew what I was doing. I guess in a way I did. I was trying to self-destruct. The thought of ruining my life made me happy for whatever reason.
But luckily, this downturn didn't last forever. On October 15th, 2018, she posted a video announcing the official return to Gmod videos with friends. She never gave a direct reason, but it's possible that the break may have rekindled an interest, and seemed like a better alternative to what was happening at the time.
Yeah, no, you can put that in the toss pile. We can sell that for some money. Go ahead and keep that. We can use that. So we've been selling off a lot of Bree Corp's assets to make up for the recent adpocalypse in my, extended absence from the company. In the wake of the adpocalypse, I went a little off the, deep end, you could say. I spent most of my evenings partying and spending an obscene amount of the company's fallback money on substances I can't legally disclose. Oh, man. Okay. I feel my eyes. Is that a... Am I looking at a hamburger with a face?
Although to avoid any copyright altercations, she began using a new Gmod avatar that was human as opposed to her MLP-type character.
Around the end of 2017, I adopted this weird, comical, mutilated humanoid version of her that my friend Ashiboob had made for me. Then shortly after, I had an anime-oriented model made and tried to distance myself from any and everything pony. The only time Breezy would show up is when I depicted her as being dead or being a shell of her former self. Even then, I only did this so that I could use the likeness of her model in thumbnails to draw clicks.
This was after being advised to do so by a lawyer friend, but this would cause problems since Bree had only just returned, and her horse avatar was her most recognizable channel branding.
I want to thank everyone for joining today, and by everyone I mean the literally 4 people who are putting on a funeral for really, guys? With endings comes new beginnings, and I like to think that I apply to an infinitely larger demographic, not using that.
Aren't you supposed to be one of them anime characters?
Hulk, please, I respect Western culture. I don't watch Chinese cartoons. I also had numerous copyright scares with that model, so I figured that maybe it was probably time to move on.
By this point, the channel's growth had plateaued around 850 to 900,000 subscribers. Unfortunately, by then, her friend group had dwindled further, with few making reappearances. She continued posting, but 2 months later on December 3rd, she would put up a video revealing that she was still facing major hurdles, although this time of a different variety. Rather than videos seeing no revenue from their views, the channel as a whole was seeing less reach than before, something Bree attributes partially to the changing landscape.
So you're like, oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna continue to do that. That's my thing. Nope. You're old and washed up and irrelevant. You have your time, your 15 minutes, and then you're just supposed to be buried? I'm not in this shit because I want to be the fucking most famous. I do this because I love creating shit. I love sharing it with people. I love having it just exposed. And sure, I have bills to pay, but there's a reason I work a fucking real physical job now. I wish I could hit on 1 million subscribers. That'd be cool. It seems like a very distant thing. I'm like right there. I'm right fucking there. Just give me the plaque. Just give me the 1 million subscriber plaque and I'll leave forever. That's what you want. I just want a plaque in my room so that I can look at it and feel some sort of essence of self-accomplishment. I like to think that there's something that I can still do to appeal to my demographic that isn't being a cancerous shit. Anyway, more Minecraft videos coming soon.
Over the next year, things would continue in a relatively similar direction. Videos would see incrementally decreased traffic and Bree would post at a somewhat irregular pace, but things would continue to shift in other ways. In February of 2019, Bree would release a video as part of a 3-part series on her BreeHive channel talking about her transition, and in it she revealed a lot of what had only been guessed at before, mainly that she'd been struggling with dysphoria for years and had been hinting at it since almost the very beginning of her channel. but also that she had joined YouTube to be among a more accepting crowd, as opposed to those in her real-life childhood who bullied her for being different.
I mean, I was really vulnerable to bullies because I had fragile feminine emotions, and Jesus Christ, God forbid you have that in middle school. So I had to deal with a lot of that, and it just really piled on over the years. Like, I got crazy depressed. I isolated a lot in my room. And it got to the point where I didn't like leaving my room outside of school. I would just wake up, go to school, come home, play video games, hide away, isolate, and go to bed and rinse and repeat. I ate a lot of cheese fries. I remember that specifically. While I was isolating, you know, I started to get like real into YouTube, and I've always been sort of a creator ever since I was like even really young. But like, you know, YouTube started to become more of a thing. I was watching a lot of YouTubers, and I got to see their rise to like actual stardom. And it sort of brewed this like motivation in me, because I would see these YouTubers being loved by thousands of people, and here I am in this shitty farm town being hated by pretty much everyone I was around. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was never happy with myself, and in turn that just made me vulnerable in school, and in turn that just made me miserable. I thought if I had thousands of people watching the things that I made, if I had thousands of people that loved me, that I would learn to love myself. But I didn't know any better. I was a kid. I just saw these people being loved by fans, and I wanted to be loved like that. It was shallow at the time, I'm not gonna lie. And my reasoning for wanting to be famous was literally just to be famous and popular. And it's not the right reason. I know that now it's not the right reason to have done that, but I did not know any better. So that's what I did. And lo and behold, it didn't make anything better.
This video would receive very positive reception, but would never receive the 2 promised follow-ups, and was unlisted later on when Bree grew self-conscious of her older second channel content and decided to rebrand it into a vlog channel.
This channel's always sort of struggled with a identity crisis in the past. I can't ever seem to figure out where I should take it or what people would even want to watch. I can't even figure out what I'd want to make. I mean, I think I'm going in the right direction. I've made a couple of really fun videos so far, but they've all lacked something that I really enjoyed from the videos that I've uploaded in the past. So I looked to my past as a reference to see what I enjoyed most when I uploaded here. And honestly, my happiest uploads were our wacky travel/Disney vlogs.
Rate it with a hand signal in front of the camera. Okay emoji, perfect.
Although few videos would ever be released on it since. Around the same time, Robin would also retire from content creation on his own channel. He would return much later on in September of 2020, but would then quit again permanently.
Yeah, so here's the deal. I have been stringing you guys along for probably, a little more than 3 years now, with promises of making content and trying something new, doing this, doing that, and it's never, ever, ever once happened. There are many, many reasons for this being the case. The biggest one being depression. I never really fully recovered after the events of 2017, the events of which I've already spoken about, so you should know by now. There you go. And at this point in time, things have become so messed up for me, or at least I should say my brain has become so messed up, that I think once and for all, I'm here to say no more promises will ever be made, no more content will ever be made. You are free to stop hanging around here, because what you see now is all you're ever gonna get. So I am returning to you today, this fine Saturday, to, I guess for lack of better terminology, explain myself. Okay, I guess I wasn't really lacking better terminology, I knew exactly what to say. And by explain myself, I am of course referring to the many, many times that I have unceremoniously quit YouTube and then with no real explanation, come right back. This last time being the most egregious of them all. You see, as I said in that video, for the last 3 years I really haven't been myself. Now I guess it's not super uncommon for really anybody to quit and or retire from any artistic endeavors and then immediately regret that decision because they're not done creating yet. I have probably quit like 4 or 5 times since 2017, and I have come back, again with no explanation, time and time again. I got a big forehead, man. And like I said before, I'm here today to let you know exactly what's going on inside my head. Why I'm back. Why I've quit so many times. It really comes down to just depression, man. That's really all there is to it.
Back on Bree's channel, she would post several Reddit-based videos as the year neared its end, experimenting with other types of content. Apparently, this was at the recommendation of her friend Damien.
How's it going, friends? Welcome back to Blonde Girl Gets Demonetized on the Internet. Today we're doing something special, something different, something fun. It's not going to be a Gmod video. Oh, yeah, there it is. Saw that one coming. Today we're going to be exploring the subreddit. Oh, god damn it. Alright, well, you know, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're copying Damien. You're copying MK Damien. Well, listen, Damien and I, we're best friends, and he actually told me to do this. He was the one who was like, Bree, try Reddit content.
This change was sudden, but she would soon discuss why, saying she was enjoying her new videos and felt guilty to older subs for not making the content they wanted, but felt that her humor and style had changed.
Things change, lives move along, people lose touch, a person's sense of humor matures, their interests might alter, and the perfect formula that made a person's creation seem flawless in the past might be so vastly different in the future that they can no longer replicate it. And that's essentially what's happened here with me. I've endured so much change. More than I ever thought possible. Initially, these changes affected my confidence, my ability to create, and largely led to the state that my channel is in right now. It was that fear of never being as good as I once was that kept me away for such long periods, because I knew that no matter what I did, you would be disappointed. However, that's no longer the case. I've adapted to my changes. I've grown to love them, and for the first time in a very long time, I can say that I'm proud of myself. The uploads that I've been releasing lately have brought me a lot of joy. Like, genuine happiness. Just being on camera again, acting, laughing, enjoying myself, showing myself to the world after so much fucking hiding. We're all here to be perfect and miserable, at our own pace. That being said, I can't promise what I'll release in the future on this channel. I can't promise that my consistency, humor, or interests will ever live up to your expectations. I can't promise an upcoming Gmod video, and I can't promise that my friends from the past will ever be part of my future.
Bree also let on why a lot of her friends may not have reappeared in videos.
Now to my friends, past and present. You all know who you are. I'm sorry to any one of you I may have lost contact with in the past. I'm sorry if I ever made decisions that seemed self-destructive, selfish, or ultimately toxic for you to be around. I know life is life and shit happens, but I take pride in offering my friends the best, and for years I've fallen short. You all allowed me comfort, acceptance, love, and warmth during the most trying periods of my life. You joined me on this YouTube journey, and were largely the reason I was able to fund and achieve the changes that ultimately saved my life. You are the major factor in my happiness, and why I haven't invested more into you guys is beyond me. I love you guys. God, I love you guys. I will make more of an effort to be there, if and when you guys ever need me.
But despite what Bree said about the new content she was making, she would only continue this new style into the start of 2020 before shelving it completely. Her next plan, however, caught many off guard.
Anyway, 2020 creeps around the corner, but not much has changed. There's still an incredible amount of struggle behind the scenes, except this time I'm dealing with a second breakup from someone I'd been dating during those past 2 years. I knew full well that I was going to be just as crazy, if not crazier, in the coming year. I had even more festivals planned, and resources that would keep me high out of my mind for as long as I wanted. The stage was set for me to utterly fuck up my life. But then, the pandemic happened. When COVID hit and all the events and shows were canceled, I had like a second identity crisis. Who was I if I couldn't go to shows? Who was I if I wasn't fucked up in a crowd of strangers? My initial panic from the lockdown sent me on a bit of a bender, and I was consistently not sober for like 14 days. The bender would finally stop because during an acid trip, my sleep deprivation elicited probably the biggest panic attack I've ever had, and I had to call my parents to come pick me up and help me. It was a whole mess. It was a dark spot, okay? It was like rock bottom, so don't judge me. They had no idea what I'd been doing those 2 weeks. I wasn't really in contact with them, so naturally they were super caught off guard. The withdrawal from a 2-week heavy bender isn't something to joke about either. I was in a lot of pain for like 5 days following, and I gained like 10 pounds. After things had finally leveled out a bit, and I was reassociating myself with the feeling of baseline sobriety, I looked toward other means of comfort that didn't involve harming myself. The past couple years of my life were already challenging enough, but now there was a pandemic to deal with. I was scrolling through my phone one day and I found the album of Breezy art I've had saved for some time. I started looking through it and I literally just broke down crying. Looking at those pictures, recalling my past, every comforting emotion from my history with Breezy came right back to the forefront.
She put up a video called The Bree Turn, teasing at more Gmod videos featuring the old cast, including Robin, who she was still on good terms with.
So, let me get this straight. You want to pursue this big, epic return to entertainment with all the fanfare to boot, but you don't want to use your credit card, you don't want to use your old format, and you don't want to collaborate with your old crew?
Well, I never said I don't want to work with the old crew, I just think they're all busy doing their own thing now.
Look, Robin, I'd love to get your name out there again, but without meeting me halfway, there's no way we can realistically do that. Pitching your name requires some backing. The credit card thing is easy to work around, but the others, I'm not so sure.
What if I got some of the old crew on board?
Well...
And what if we touched on the old format a bit? Capitalize on the nostalgia?
That could work.
I'm sure I could get in touch with someone.
What about that girl you used to work with? The idiot with the goat scream.
You mean Bree?
Oddly obsessed with bikes, weirdly tall, always whining about her life on Twitter.
Yeah, that's definitely Bree.
She cried on her live streams, never followed through with her ideas, never hit 1 million subscribers.
Bree.
Even her horse model made a comeback in both the branding and as her avatar in-game. Apparently, she'd rekindled relationships with old friends and realized the chances of getting into copyright trouble for her avatar were very slim.
Welcome everybody to Horse News, the only show where we've hired someone whose literal sole purpose on our staff is to alert us of any cease and desist orders from Hasbro. Is there anything yet?
No.
No?
Nothing yet.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, there you have it, folks. Hasbro still doesn't give a flying shit.
She also expanded out into other platforms. When in August of 2020, she decided to move her streams on a Twitch that she'd kept up since her original quitting video. After rebranding the Cool Dude 3 Twitch channel into the BreeHive Twitch channel and streaming gameplay, the reception and viewer engagement has appeared to be promising. On the 14th, she also discussed the idea of making a series of videos discussing trans-related topics on her second channel, stating that this would be a better way to convey her experience as being trans rather than the 3-part documentary. Although to this day this is yet to happen, and releases on the main channel have slowed and seen an even greater decrease in views. Although Bree has stated that the YouTube monetization system has improved enough for her videos to receive ads again, it seems the damage done from her inactive periods and consistent rebranding have taken their toll, especially since the new YouTube gaming landscape is far different than it was in the height of Bree's popularity. To this day, her channel hovers around 930,000 subscribers, still just out of grasp from the 1 million subscriber number she's coveted throughout her years on the site. In late August, Bree would also discover that she was bipolar, something that may explain her frequent changes in outlook towards her career, and only a few days later, her and Robin would completely cut ties for unknown reasons. This is where Bree sits today. Of all the YouTubers on the platform, Bree stands as one who has seen one of the most jarring shifts from beginning to end. Some good and some bad. While her outlook towards her content, the site she puts it on, and her goals may change on a whim, she has also undergone a successful transition that ultimately kept her from suicide, and built a decent-sized channel with a loyal fandom. It seems that in a lot of ways, Bree's ability to change is both her biggest advantage and greatest weakness. While most of her peers were wiped out during the fall of Minecraft, Bree persisted and, while stagnant, has the ability to rebound again. But her infrequent uploading and changing content style have posed a lot of issues for her and slowed the channel's growth. Had the demonetization system never happened, maybe things wouldn't have degraded when they did. Or maybe this was inevitable. But if anything's certain, it's that the future is unknown and all you can do to brace yourself is be willing to change with it. Whether for the well-being of your fans, your friends, your career, or yourself.
Whoa, that was the longest Just Jargon documentary since the one he made off of me. Now, I'm curious to check out Bree's channel. Is that Joy from Outside In too?
Terrifying show.
Ah!
Oh,
Totally is! All it brings me is so much fucking joy!
My past actions of using a pony OC as the first official feminine projection of myself wasn't, isn't, and will never be exclusive to me, as there are tons of people who have done and are currently doing the same now. It's kind of a genius video, to be honest.